Hey, what is up, guys? So you are planning a trip to New Year's Eve in New York City. Times Square, are you? Well, I did it probably one of the worst years in the last 10 years. 2018, it rained for 10 hours, it was cold. The year before, it was about 8 degrees, but at least it did not rain. So if you are looking for some tips, you've come to the right place. I have about 8 or 9 tips here, so let's get started. Tip number 1, if you can afford it, get a hotel in Times Square. Cough up the 8 or 9 or whatever you might have to spend to get a hotel in Times Square. It'll give you the most flexibility as well as having the greatest access to the area. If you have a hotel or if you have business, which is what the authorities will be asking you to be in Times Square, you can come and go much easier than a commoner. I was a commoner, so I was just one of the people that wanted to go there and experience it. I had to stand in a different line with everybody else. If you have business to be in Times Square, which is a hotel is one of them, you can get it in and out much easier. You could even leave your pen. So if the area is essentially cordoned off into little pens, if you got there at 2 or 3 o'clock and you wanted to leave at 5 or 6 o'clock to go to the bathroom, go get some food, go get a snack, you could do that. You could literally leave, walk to your hotel. If someone stops you, just say, "Hey, I'm going back to my hotel," and they say, "Okay, continue." If I did that, so I didn't have a hotel room. If I did that, I would have probably been asked to leave or find a pen quickly, and I didn't want to take my chance, so we stayed put. So if you can afford it, get a hotel in Times Square. It essentially gives you a free hall pass, and you can move about as needed when needed. Tip number 2, and this one's huge for people traveling into New York from out of state. So we were traveling in from Michigan. The easiest way we found to get in and out of New York City is by parking in Morristown, New Jersey, or parking anywhere where there's the Metro, or like it's the New Jersey Transit, Metro Chicago. So the New Jersey Transit, you can park in Morristown at $6 a day, and then take the train in. It's $14 round trip per person. Far easier than traveling into the city by car, trying to find a spot to park, right? Much easier. Park in New Jersey, take the hour and 15-minute ride in from Morristown, drops you right off at Penn Station, 6 blocks from Times Square. You are welcome. Tip number 3. That was a 3, no thumb. Tip number 3, plan early. New York City by itself is already expensive. The sooner you plan, the cheaper things will be, the easier things will be to plan. If you plan late like we did in December, things are going to be expensive. And the only reason we planned in December is because we found an Airbnb for about $215 a night. I mean, normally in New York, that would be a killer deal. I think somebody canceled last minute and they probably dropped their price wanting to fill it for New Year's Eve. We saw it pop up, we booked it. We were very lucky. Don't be like us. Don't plan in December. Don't plan last minute. Plan early. Tip number 4. If you don't have a hotel in Times Square, but you still want some of the flexibility, get an event ticket. Get the bar tickets, the restaurant tickets, the club tickets, right? Get the tickets. I mean, like Applebee's has a party. The tickets are still probably $200 or $300 or $400, but gives you flexibility. You're going to be warm and fed and happy, and you can have drinks and food, right? It'll be nice. Unfortunately, by the time we looked for something like that, they were all sold out, or they're on StubHub for $1,000. Like, we're not going to pay $1,000 for a $150 ticket. But that's because we plan really, really late. So refer to my earlier tip. Again, if you don't want a hotel, get an event ticket. There's a comedy club. There's tons of bars and restaurants that essentially shut down, that essentially offer out their space for a couple $100. And then when 11 o'clock rolls around, or 10:30, 11:30, whenever you want to go outside, you can venture outside, fill up the streets, and still watch the ball drop. One thing to keep in mind, if you do this, is you don't want to be at like 44th or 43rd or 45th. You want to try to find somewhere a little bit further back, because you're not going to be able to leave your restaurant at, let's say, 43rd and get to 47th or 48th, where you're going to have the best view of the ball. It's just not going to happen. The police will either stop you, or there'll just be way too many people for you to make your way out that, unless you leave early, maybe like 10 o'clock. So if you're going to do a restaurant or a bar, try to get something a little bit further north, 47th, 48th, 49th, 46th, even 45th, to where you can see the ball. I think the best view is between probably like 45th and 47th. Anything closer than that, you're going to be looking straight up, or you're not going to be able to see it. Anything further than that, it might just be too far away. So keep that in mind if you do book a event or a hotel right under the ball. Tip number 5, if you don't get an event ticket and you don't get a hotel in Times Square and you were like us and like the majority of people out there that just want to be there for the event, get there early. We got there about 1 o'clock. We couldn't even figure out what the heck was going on until, gosh, it was probably almost 2 o'clock. It was about 1:45. We started at 42nd. The police kept saying, if we were at 42nd, they were saying go to 43rd. If we were at 43rd, they were saying go to 45th. We got to 45th, they said go to 47th. We went to 47th, they said go to 48th. And it was just like organized chaos. I almost think this was like something planned. It's the biggest event in New York City. There's no way no one knows what's going on, what time we were getting, where we could get in, how we could get in. No one knew. I asked one officer, I said, how do we get in? She goes, get in where? And we were at 8th and like 42nd. 9th, 8th. We were at 8th. Times Square is 7th. Or excuse me, where Times Square goes through is, I'm pretty sure it's 7th. But either way, we were a block out. We weren't into the barricades yet. And I said, how do I get in? She goes, get in where? I said, get into Times Square. And she looked at me like, and then she, flabbergasted, like, this is all considered Times Square. Like, get there early, figure out what's going on. It's going to be confusion. I'm sure the security protocol changes every single year, meaning that they don't have the exact same process every year. They probably, hopefully, improve it. So get there early. Get in line. The lines took us about 45 minutes to get in, so get ready to stand in the line and be smashed, unless you have a ticket to an event or you have a hotel. Tip number 6. I think that's 6. I have no clue. I'm losing track. Dress for the weather. I'm not a huge fan of the weather people. If there were more like probabilities and chance of and percentages in their reports, they would even be more useless than they already are. I mean, it's like 60% chance of scattered showers. Like, how can you have 60% chance of something that's scattered? Makes absolutely no sense. But they were right this time. They were right. The weather said 100% chance of rain from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. So 2 p.m. on the 31st to 2 a.m. on January 1st. They were right. It literally rained from 1:45 until about 1:45. 1:45 p.m. to 1:45 a.m. It rained the entire time. Never stopped once. So there were people that arrived with us at 2 o'clock, got in 2:30, and they were wearing slippers and sweaters and hoodies. They were not there at 10 o'clock. They left. They froze. They were soaking wet. They left. So they stood in line. They got smashed. They got wet. They got bored. They were hungry. They couldn't go to the bathroom. And they left. So if it's going to be cold or wet or snowing, dress appropriately. Please. God, like, our pen was completely empty. Look at my other video. Check out the actual experience video. You'll see that we were smashed. It was the pen was tight. And about 9 or 10 o'clock, it was it was completely empty. There were maybe 100 people left out of maybe 500 or 600 people. So dress appropriately, please. Tip number 7, hydrate the day before. So hydrate the night before, wake up, go to the bathroom. Drink very little. Unless you're going to wear a diaper or some other, they make stadium buddies for men. Don't drink a ton in the morning. Don't drink a bunch of alcohol the night before so you're dehydrated and you're hungover. You probably want to bring some alcohol. They do search you, so don't bring alcohol. Bring snacks and food. So bring a couple water bottles, bring some granola bars, bring some maybe like a sub sandwich or something that's easy to eat that you can store for a few hours. We brought 2 water bottles. We only drank half of one, so we were just literally sipping the water. We did not want to have. We didn't want to leave. Right? You don't want to. Once you leave, we didn't have tickets. Again, once you leave, we would have been kicked out. So bring some snacks. Get ready to stand around. You're gonna need something to keep you going, keep your mind occupied. Bring some snacks. Bring some water. Tip number 8: do not bring any camp chairs, any umbrellas, anything bulky. Don't bring it. You have to go through a couple security checkpoints. You have to go through a pat down, essentially. Open your coats, open your purses, check everything out. And then you have to go through a wand. We went through 2 wands. So we went through, I think, 3 security checkpoints. Don't bring anything bulkier that you should not bring to a public event. And if you tried to throw it out, you have to go all the way back to the street and find the garbage and throw it out. You just lost your spot in line. You have to stay in line for another 2 hours. And that leads me to tip number 9, the security checkpoints. As I mentioned, you'll get checked a couple times. One's a pat down, so don't bring pocket knives or anything that they might find suspicious. Clear bags, small bags. I saw someone had like a burlap grocery bag. No large backpacks, no large purses. They'll just say no. They'll kick you out. And then the second security checkpoint is a wand. So don't bring anything metallic that you should not probably bring. Again, if you get to the second checkpoint, you just stood in line for an hour or an hour and a half, and you get to the second one to where they wand you and they find something that you shouldn't be bringing, you're out. right? You can't just go throw it out. They're gonna toss you. We did see that. And then kind of tip number 10 is if you can make it until about 5 p.m., you will be good. So at about 5 p.m., they start with sound check. Ryan Seacrest comes out, Chrissy and Jenny, and Steve Harvey came out at about 7. They do multiple sound checks. We saw Christina, we saw Lovely the band, we saw Bastille, all these bands multiple times. So if you can make it until about 5:30, 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock is when they do the ball rise, and then it's just nonstop events. They keep you pretty entertained. So if you can make it to about 5 or 6 o'clock, you'll be good. But referring to my first couple tips, if you have a hotel and or an event and you can get out there whenever you want, right? You just have to find an open pen, which all of the pens had extra room. So I hope these helped. Good luck. Have fun. Leave me a comment. Let me know you're going. And definitely check out my other video. And Happy New Year. Whatever year you're watching this, the current year is, right now it's 2019. We went for the 2018 New Year's Eve ball drop. If this is for 2019 or 2020 or 2021, whatever year, heck, maybe 2031. Happy New Year. Thank you for watching. So like and subscribe. See you later.